Are you wondering why your wife isn't interested in sex anymore? Well, you're not alone. This happens a lot. It can cause all kinds of rejection and confusion. I mean, some frustration can set in there. You might be thinking, wow, is something broken? Well, today we're not going to be blaming anyone. We're going to get some fresh understanding to find out what's really happening. And I want you to stick around because I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do now to make a difference. So today's question is, why doesn't she want sex anymore, and what can I do about it? First of all, I'm going to give you a truth bomb. So get ready, deep breath. You have to know that constant asking kills desire. Constant asking kills desire. And there's this cycle that can set in. You ask more, they refuse more, and it just sets everybody in a bit of a frenzy. But she is probably feeling pressure. Oh my gosh, there's this expectation on me. And with all of that asking, she might never have a chance to feel the urge or the desire for sex herself. So it's working against both of you here. It's very different when you feel like you have to want sex versus being free enough to actually want sex. And we want to get both spouses on the same page. Okay, something else to consider. We have a myth to bust, and unfortunately, this one can lead to resentment. So hear me out. This is when we exaggerate in our head and say, he always wants sex, or she never wants sex. So if you're using the always or the never buttons, then you know something has gone off in your thinking. That's part of the problem. Absolutely. It distorts reality when you let that set in. Nobody can be authentic. Nobody can show up with deep personal feelings when that's what the thought pattern is. And you need to have trust. You can never have true intimacy if you don't have trust. And you have to remember that if there's this understanding, this urge, this need of wanting sex, it's quite possible that emotional closeness was really what was needed. But sex has always filled that void in the past. So we're going to break this down. Is it a need for emotional connection and closeness, or is it a need for sexual intimacy? And just stay with me as we unpack that. Another thought for you to process: there are unseen stressors at work. I mean, in everybody. But when it comes to sex, that is the area where we hold back, hush down, and we don't reveal. And so the things that you're experiencing internally and you're not telling your spouse, you put both of you at risk, actually. Some of the things that could be going on, maybe there's pressure at work. You haven't told your spouse. Maybe you're having some body image issues. Certainly women go through this all the time. Hey, their body is constantly changing, partly just because of hormones at work. So guys, your wife could be going through things you don't know about and she hasn't shared yet. And both spouses could be running through, I'm not good enough. You know, that's just a lie the enemy uses to trap us. And I know God wants to bring us freedom out of that. And even there's these spiritual expectations of, I've got to have the best marriage. I've got to do everything right. And perfection is never a healthy goal, especially in marriage. So when you don't talk about it, your spouse doesn't know about it. If it feels like sex is one more demand, then she will shut down even if she dearly loves you. That's kind of scary right there. So what are we going to do about it? Okay, here are 3 things you can do differently, and you can start these now. Number 1, have honest conversation. could be some pushback. I know, talking about sex, it's awkward, especially when there's these volatile moments in the relationship, but it's mandatory. You will never get past this if you don't learn how to have honest conversation. So you're asking questions like, tell me what's really going on with your desire for sex. And we want to be listening defenselessly. Nobody wants to be on edge about this. We want to have sincere hearts, safety when we have this space to talk, and asking the wife, what's really going on with your lack of desire? Once again, I mentioned ladies are going through hormone changes all the time, and she might not be aware of some of it, or it might be just difficult to talk about. So we need extra grace here. Hey, my business is called Limitless Intimacy because God is the best, the ultimate source. So you can draw on him. He is a limitless source of love and grace that you can extend to your spouse, especially during these delicate conversations. What else can you do? Number 2, negotiate frequency together. I know that's kind of a mouthful though. What am I saying? If the frequency is not working now, it's time to negotiate a new number. And I don't know where you are in your number. I mean, I talk to couples and one spouse wants to have sex daily. I talk to other couples, it's 3 times a week. I mean, there are couples that are way out there and once a month, once every other month. So we want to increase it to the point of comfort, so we're trying to find a new number, and whatever number you and your spouse agree on for frequency, something new to try, give it 2 to 4 weeks to decide, is this working? And hopefully that will get you to a new place and you can have another conversation about what worked and what didn't work with that. Okay, the third tip I have for you, I always get pushback, but it's just so good, I have to mention it. And that is to schedule time for intimacy, time for sex. And really, those could be 2 different things. It depends on what terminology that you use. But emotional closeness is always important for a woman. Does your wife need to have this big romantic encounter every single time sex is on the table? No, but emotional connection needs to be a part of the ways that you connect routinely, ongoing basis. We want this to be consistent in your marriage. So time for intimacy, time for sex. And people are like, well, I don't know when I'm going to want to. I'm going to be in the mood. I'm going to have the urge. How can I say, oh, Tuesday night, that's the night for me? Well, what we're doing when we schedule is setting aside time free of distractions, because if you set that time aside, you can begin to anticipate it, and then there's none of these nagging thoughts, or at least not as many, so you are more able to give yourself to sex. Hey, I hope those things were helpful, but I know talking about sex is a biggie. As a matter of fact, I wrote 2 books about it. Why can't I talk to her about sex? Why can't I talk to him about sex? So it's one for husbands, one for wives, and it runs you through all kinds of questions to ask. Maybe you can identify some of your own blocks. Hey, things from childhood that made it really uncomfortable to talk about sex. It gives you some prompts for things you want to tell your spouse that maybe you have never told them before. So it's a great activity that you can do. Lots of resources in there. I'll make sure that I put the link in the description for you. Thanks so much for joining today, and remember that God's design for a thriving marriage is an intimate connection in spirit, soul, and body.